Why take FPL advice from one expert when you can take advice from 100 of them? Welcome to FPL Mate, my name is Dan, and whether you're looking for the transfer moves being made by the top managers, captains, or maybe even triple captains, I can tell you this is a big week for major moves in the FPL world. Let's see what the experts are doing in Gameweek 9. Okay, so first off, a massive shout out to the 100 FPL managers who helped us out with their data this week. We're going to see what they're up to. And guys, there's actually been some big improvements to the series for today. So I think you're going to enjoy this, and we're going to try and improve this series as we go through this season. But certainly stay tuned for the new changes to this one. I think you're going to like them. It's highly requested changes coming up in this video. First of all, we have to look at the overview and what the managers are up to in general. And it seems like a big week for transfers, and we've got loads of really good data for you guys today. 37% of our managers are making just one transfer, 25% are making two transfers, but there is a decent amount using their saved up transfers to make some major changes, some major switches in their FPL teams. We've got 11% making 3 or more transfers, and actually 4 of them are making 4 transfers this week. So yeah, big moves happening, and definitely something that you might think about doing yourself. If you've got a lot of Arsenal and Liverpool players or injured and suspended players, then it could be a big week for moves. We have got 27% making no transfers this week, so some people are still choosing to roll. We always see a certain amount of people rolling their transfers each week, but nobody is using the wildcard this week, so perhaps not a week for the wildcard after all. Going through the global top picks, there seems to be a lot of kind of crossover between what the overall player base is thinking for transfers and what the experts are thinking for transfers. Now, the top players are completely different really from this list, so you are going to see which of these players that our experts really do prefer. But in general, Gvardiol, Son and Burmo, Raul Jimenez, Palmer and Johnson are all seeing significant transfers in among our experts. We've got a couple of transfers in for the likes of McNeil, and in terms of Keane, none of our experts are transferring him in. As we know, as soon as Branthwaite is back in the next week or so, Keane is not going to be starting for Everton anymore. And no new transfers for Rodgers or Salah as well. Rodgers and Salah, maybe not with the best fixtures this game week. Maybe that is impacting things, but a lot of our experts do already own Rodgers, actually, which you're going to find out more about shortly. So we need to look at the transfers out, and yeah, huge trend here with the Saka transfers out. A lot of people are just not wanting to play games with Arteta anymore and his Saka updates, and therefore are choosing to remove him. Now, given that Arsenal have some tough fixtures coming up, including this fixture against Liverpool, well, you can understand why 46 of our 73 transfer-making experts are removing Saka this game week. So his ownership is seeing an absolute plummet this game week. We're not going to see too many of our experts with Saka going into game week 9, unfortunately for him. So yes, he's going down. Now, a quick update on Saka, because we did get a leak today from an In The Know to suggest that Saka is in contention to start against Liverpool. But as we know, Arteta put out a very different message yesterday saying that basically Saka is unlikely to play against Liverpool. So who knows what to trust anymore? And I think that's why people are selling him, because there's not, what do we do? How can we trust anything from anyone? It's just a very frustrating player to own right now, and obviously didn't start in game week 8. What's going to happen next? Didn't start in the Champions League. Who knows what's going to happen in game week 9. But outside of that, there's a strong trend towards transferring out players from Arsenal and Liverpool. Now, we've got 10 transfers out each for Havertz, Luis Diaz and Saliba, who is suspended. If you do own Saliba, very easy player to remove from your team this game week, since he can't play anyway. Pretty simple transfer out. But Havertz and Luis Diaz, I guess Luis Diaz, rotation risk and a bad fixture, and Havertz, you know, just a bad fixture for quite an expensive price, might be enough to motivate you guys to sell these players. Few people transferring out Trent Alexander-Arnold as well, 8 transfers out for him, and the reason for that seems to be to fund other moves. So if you need to free up some budget, maybe Trent can be your fall guy, really, to free up a bit of budget and upgrade other areas of your pitch. And after that, we've got the likes of Semenyo, Gabriel, Trossard, Cavani, Carvalho, and a couple of transfers out for Calvert-Lewin as well. But nothing really significant among these players. Trossard is probably losing the biggest amount of his percentage ownership. Gabriel is highly owned among experts, but not really too many transferring him out. We'll get to that in a moment. But if you are enjoying this video, make sure you do drop a like and subscribe if you want to follow along with the expert tips every single game week. Guys, if you want to get a good rank in FPL, a good way to do that is just to follow along with what the expert trends are every single game week. And even if you're not following along, you know, just getting the validation that what you're thinking is good is very useful as well. So let's move on. Because we know Saka is being sold, but who are the main replacements? A lot of people are asking Palmer versus Son, which of these guys should I be bringing in game week 9? And the experts are suggesting that Palmer is our #1 transfer target this week. He plays against Newcastle at home this week, which is a much better fixture than Liverpool away was last week. So we're going to see Palmer's ownership increase a lot this game week, and even more probably over the next few game weeks as well. So in the debate of Palmer versus Son, Palmer has come out on top, but that's not to say that Son is being ignored. 23 of our experts are bringing in Son this game week. So there is an ownership increase for both of these players among the top managers. After that, the top defender seems to be Ryan Aït-Nouri. 12 transfers in for the 4.4 million defender, which is a really nice bargain. I know some people have been a little bit worried about Aït-Nouri, whether he's a good pick or not. People saying Wolves are the worst defense. Well, it should be said that Wolves' defensive numbers are bad, but they're not like rock bottom in the table. They've been a bit unfortunate to concede as many goals as they have, and a lot of that is to do with the fixtures that they've played. Wolves have only played difficult fixtures. They've had such a tough run recently, and moving forward, their fixtures are so much better. So not only are you going to see Wolves concede less goals, but a player like Ryan Aït-Nouri, who is one of the best attacking defenders in FPL, he's also going to have more opportunities to add to his 2 goals and 2 assists that he's already got this season. So we're going to see an increase in clean sheets and an increase in attacking returns, hopefully, as well. So it's a prospective kind of transfer. A lot of people will just look at Wolves so far and say they must be bad, but when you look at the context, Aït-Nouri actually looks like a really nice pick. Raul Jimenez comes out as the #1 forward to buy this week. I've been looking at transferring in a forward myself this week, and I was really curious to see who our experts like the look of, but Raul Jimenez is the guy. There you go. If you're looking for a new forward, there's your answer right there. We're also seeing transfers in for Gavardio and Garnacho, and a few transfers in for the likes of Cunha, Johnson, Lewis, and Wissa as well. If you fancy a bit of a differential, maybe Wissa could be your answer, given that he did return to a few minutes off the bench in game week 8. But we need to move on to this. So, we have changed things a little bit. So what I've done is I have found out a way, a workaround to get an approximation of what the current ownership of each player is in the among our top 100 experts that we use. So I invited a bunch of our 100 experts, regular contributors, to a mini league, and we've combed through the data that way. We've extracted the data so we can kind of get an idea of which players are owned the most by our experts. Now, this is still in, I guess, testing mode a little bit here. The experts mini league that I've grabbed the data from is not full yet. There's only around 40 people in there. So that is going to improve each week, and we'll try and get a more and more accurate kind of approximation of what the current ownership is of each player. And also, when there are a lot of people using wildcards, it is quite difficult to kind of guess what big changes are being made as well. But for now, we can certainly get a good approximation. So I know that not all of our experts will have Haaland, but from this current sample size, 100% do. 92% have Mbermo, and with a couple of transfers in for him this week, we're seeing a increase of 3 out of the, well, I guess 3%, taking him from 92% to 95% ownership among our experts. Approximately. No change on Rodgers, but here's the big one, Saka. He is owned by around 67% of our 100 experts. He has dropped all the way down to 21% in game week 9. That is absolutely huge. Now, this is where I think this graphic, this visual is really, really useful, because we do see players like Gabriel and Solanke a few of our experts are selling these players. But when you look at how many of our experts owned these players in the first place, it is really, really minimal. So not really too much change to the likes of Gabriel and Solanke, which suggests to me that if you do have these players, they are certainly not a priority transfer out. Then we've got a few transfers out, of course, for Trent. He is dropping. Lewis has gone up a little bit, and Semenyo and Raya have dropped a little bit as well. But these are the top 10 players owned by experts that I am kind of using for these videos at the moment, and the changes in ownerships that we are expecting going in to game week 9. I hope this is really useful for you guys. If there is a different way I can present this information, or any other information you want to see, like the average rank, for example, of our experts, stuff like that, do let me know. Really, really appreciate the feedback, as I'm always looking to improve these videos to make sure we're giving you the best stuff we possibly can. So would you like to see some of these this information on some of the other pages in this video? Any feedback you have, please, I would love to hear it. We're going to get this video to the top notch that we possibly can, because I know you guys have been requesting this kind of thing for a very long time, and I'm very glad we are moving in the right direction for it. But we have to move on to something else, and that is some suggested transfers. And we're going to start off with the combo transfers that I'm seeing a lot of among our experts. And there's a lot of people trying to make the Saka to Palmer move, but maybe don't have the money in the bank in order to make that upgrade, because there is a difference between the two players' price. So one way of doing that would be to downgrade Havertz to Raul Jimenez, freeing up enough budget to make the Saka to Palmer upgrade, and saving a little bit of money in the bank for future moves as well. Another way would be to downgrade Saliba to Ait-Nouri. Again, you should have a little bit of spare funds there, which could be really useful in the future. But there's one more I want to talk about, and this, we spoke about a lot of our experts are making triple and quadruple transfers this week, and a lot of them involve removing Trent all the way down to Ait-Nouri, and then using that spare cash to maybe upgrade a Luis Diaz to a Son. That way you can get both Palmer and Son in your team. So if you're looking for combo transfers, those are the kind of ones I would be making. Primarily, you're going to be wanting to use free transfers in order to do this if you do have them banked. But if you just want to do some direct transfers, we got you covered as well. So if you can afford to do Saka direct to Palmer, I still think that's probably the way I would be leaning towards, given the data from our experts. However, Saka to Son is completely viable as well. This is not a much worse transfer. Son and Palmer are both great options, and you kind of have to choose your pathway if you can't get them both. But certainly if you don't have any money in the bank, Saka to Son, very easy transfer for you guys to make. Luis Diaz to Mbeumo works if you haven't got Mbeumo yet. As for Havertz, I know people will probably want to find another expensive player, but honestly, I would just go for Raul Jimenez and bank the cash. Saliba could go down to Ait-Nouri, but he could also go for Gvardiol. I've seen a lot of people asking me this week, should I sell Gabriel for Ait-Nouri or Gvardiol? And I'm not sure I would. I think the experts in general agree with me. A few of our experts are selling their Gabriel, but considering so many people are holding on to Gabriel, that does suggest to me that he is not a priority sell, whereas Saliba, given the suspension, is. So there you go. Those are some suggested transfers. We need to find out about captaincy, and perhaps more importantly, triple captaincy. So absolutely no surprises who is our top captain for this week among our experts, with 93% going for the big man, the Norwegian robot himself, Erling Haaland, at home against Southampton. And the projections for this game are very, very positive for Haaland. Yeah, we're talking about a real top striker against a pretty weak defence. And if Foden or De Bruyne, which is less likely, start against Southampton, that is hopefully going to inspire a bit more creativity in this game. Now, I think one key difference between Haaland against Southampton compared to a lot of the other teams that Haaland has been playing recently is the way the defence sets up. A lot of teams have tried to kind of, I guess, neutralise Man City by playing with a very deep block and forcing difficult situations to create chances. Now, Southampton this season have pretty much refused to change their possession-based playing style, and that is why they have been demolished on so many occasions. If they go into this game with the same play style again, you can imagine that Man City will score a lot of goals. And even if they want to change their play style, is that something that they're capable of, considering it's not something they've done before? They don't have the same experience of doing this kind of thing as maybe a Wolves or a Fulham that have kind of found a little bit more success against Man City doing that. But even doing that, these teams are still conceding goals. It just hasn't been Haaland scoring them. Mbeumo is a 3%er here. So Haaland 93%, clear favourite. Mbeumo and Palmer, second favourites here. They play Ipswich and Newcastle respectively. So if you do really want to go differential, I guess Mbeumo and Palmer would be your next choices. And Foden, 1%. There's always one going a little bit crazy. By the way, shout out to the person last week who captained Salah. One of our experts captained Salah last game week, and obviously that went really quite well. So the 1%ers can sometimes pull something out the bag, but 93%, it suggests this is probably the way to go, especially when you consider that this is also a week where 7% of our experts are using the triple captain chip. Now, that's not huge. It's nothing crazy, but it's enough to suggest to us that we should think about it at least. If you're on the fence whether to triple captain or not, I will tell you right now that the majority of our experts, even if you only count those who still have the triple captainship left, are not going to be using their triple captain in game week 9 on Erling Haaland. But some are. 7% is not nothing. This is somewhat of a trend. So you could maybe consider it. But if you're just looking for the experts' advice, in general, the advice is to not do it. But you would not be alone if you did do it. That's all I'm going to say there. I'm going to put it out that way. I will obviously give my opinion on the triple captain chip in tomorrow's video when I talk about my team, but the experts in general are not doing it, but some are. I know, confusing, right, guys? But there we go, guys. Make sure you do let me know any feedback on how we can continue to improve this video series. I would massively appreciate a like on this video as well. Do subscribe if you are new around here as well. If you want to check out another video, you could do so right here. YouTube thinks you might like this one. But aside from that, I'll see you tomorrow for another video, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.